to Digital Shifts, also known as Corporate Evolution Tales. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of digital transformation. From illuminating case studies to captivating narratives, we uncover the stories behind companies' journeys toward digital excellence. Whether you are a seasoned corporate leader or an aspiring innovator, our podcast explores the shifts, challenges of modern business evolution. Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Digital Shifts, aka Corporate Evolution Tales, and today my guest is Brian Gorman. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for being my guest today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Well, before we'll dive into digital transformation, why not to present and tell more about yourself?
So, again, I am Brian Gorman. I am outside of New York City and I do work globally, primarily virtually. I work at the intersection of artificial intelligence and wisdom. And that really means working with business leaders and businesses in integrating AI into their operations, recognizing that artificial intelligence brings intelligence and it has zero wisdom. And so, how do we use the collective wisdom of the organization to leverage the artificial intelligence that is available to us?
Amazing. Okay, I think this is going to be a very exciting episode because when we are speaking about digital transformation, a lot of people and a lot of customers generally they immediately think about AI. So I think we will have very interesting discussion there. So before that, would you tell us what is the digital transformation for you specifically? How you imagine it or how you will explain it?
Well, I really began focusing on digital transformation when I started hearing how artificial intelligence is going to disrupt entire levels of organizational life, replacing people with technology, how it has the ability to replace entire professions. And something in my gut said, there's something wrong here. As I began to really think about it and research it, what's wrong about that perspective? And I'm not saying that can't happen. And quite frankly, it scares the whatever out of me. But we have a choice, and we are at a point of having to make that choice. And the choice is to move into that dystopian future led by artificial intelligence, or to create a new future, what I call the age of wisdom, led by human wisdom leveraging artificial intelligence. And to do that, as I have thought about it and researched it and written in my book, Leading into the Age of Wisdom, we need to rethink everything about how we structure our organizations, how we make decisions, how we focus too much on time when work isn't
Mhm.
accomplished through time, it's accomplished through energy and a whole lot of other stuff.
I see. Perfect. And when we speak about AI, I think this is a very common question probably to you. Do you think it's supporting digital transformation or it's something that is making it harder on like the case of the challenges and the technology that is new? What do you think is it like? What kind of support it's providing for digital transformation?
I think the answer is not either or, the answer is both.
Okay.
I think AI is a highly disruptive
Hmm.
technology in every way, not only disruptive to people, but
Hmm.
disruptive to the role of technology itself in our organizations. And I think looking at AI as another resource that IT can provide us is a high risk approach.
Hmm. Hmm. I see. And do you think we have, or like we can break the digital transformation into any stages, considering your experience, like what the company can expect as the breakdown of the stages when they want to do the digital transformation?
Mariam, the truth as I see it is that we are entering into a new world. We are entering into a world that is not, well, let me back up. that may or may not be an evolution of the industrial age that we are still in many
Mm-hmm.
ways. When we talk about replacing people with IT, with AI, we are continuing the hierarchical top-down pyramid organization design that places power and decision-making at the top of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Those at the top of the organization who are making those decisions are the furthest people away from the customers and the information that comes from the customers about the services and products offered.
Mm-hmm.
If, in fact, we want to see artificial intelligence as a catalyst for a different future, that means a different way of structuring our organizations and a number of other things. And that is unknown territory for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it means we need to become what I call wayfinders, not navigators, because navigators have a map and a
Yes.
compass. Wayfinders have a compass, the purpose of that organization.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no map to getting there. Even before I really dug into this, and more so since, I believe that the future of organizational life is not going to be some variation
Mm-hmm.
of the hierarchical pyramid. It is going to be a number of different forms, from networked organizations to holacracies to teal organizations and so forth, that evolve, that make organizations much more living entities than formal structures.
Yeah, agree. And when you mentioned about the unknown paths and basically like something that needs to be still discovered, do you think that there are some specific, I would say, phases or like the specific areas which we can identify during our path of digital transformation as like the highlights of the gaps that usually happen to companies where they need to start their digital transformation?
Yeah, and it's interesting as we're talking, I'm realizing more and more that you are asking questions about digital transformation, and I'm not talking a whole lot about technology.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a tremendous example. Here in the United States, there was a time when General Electric appliances, GE appliances, was by far the leader in their
Mm-hmm.
industry. And they fell down and they fell down and they fell down. They were bought a few years ago by an Asian company. And where they began was rethinking their design, not just around the principle of form follows function, which is a very common phrase for organizational design, but form follows function and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And purpose becomes the North Star. So you need to begin with being clear about your North Star. If your North Star is quarterly profits,
Mm-hmm.
then what you got probably works okay. And getting rid of more people and plugging in technology probably works okay. But think for a minute, over the last 20, more than half of the Fortune 500 companies 25 years ago either no longer exist or have fallen down.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to GE appliances. Form follows function and purpose. They reorganized into micro enterprises based on a few things. How do clients recognize them? Well, one of the ways they recognize them is by their brand names. So if we're looking to serve our clients that recognize, or our customers that recognize a particular brand name, let's organize around the brand name. In some cases, the organization was around particular markets, and I'll come back and talk about that in just a moment. Each of these micro enterprises lives and dies by its own bottom line. There is no big papa, big mama organization that gives them money when they get into trouble. They're
Mm-hmm.
organized into teams, sometimes as small as 5 or 6 people. So think for a minute, if I'm on a team of 5 or 6 people and we know that we need to generate enough revenue to pay our own salaries. How long am I going to sit around disengaged? How long is my team going to allow me to sit around disengaged? Form follows function and purpose. Just two more quick examples from GE Appliances. One day, the CEO pulled up, and in front of their headquarters building is a recreational vehicle branded for GE Appliances, except they didn't make appliances
Hmm.
for recreational vehicles. So he went in and started exploring, and what he discovered was a small number of just plain old employees
Hmm.
have a passion for recreational vehicles. And they bootstrapped basically a whole new product line for GE Appliances around RVs that has become very successful. The second point, they had a passion. There's a wonderful interview on YouTube with Kevin Nolan, who's the CEO of GE, GE Appliances. He says, we hire for passion. We have people who are passionate about shipping containers. So where to start? Back to your question, and my
Yeah.
apologies for a very long answer. Where to
No, no.
start is really to rethink how you are basically structured.
Hmm.
Are you structured for speed and efficiency and generating those quarterly profits? Or are you structured in a way that engages people around purpose with their passion?
Yeah. And when you speak about purpose, I think for a lot of companies, actually, that's one of the challenges to understand why they are doing it, because both with the AI and with the general, like the changes that are coming, it seems that they are running after some buzzwords and that situations that will make them doing stuff that is now like more spoken about. But do you think that like all the there is any way or any method that can be practiced for being able to find the right purpose, as or as you mentioned, the North Star, that is basically the main goal toward which you are going? Do you think it's there is any way how to correctly identify what should be your right purpose or like specific one?
One of the ways, and one of the things that I do is conduct wisdom circles.
Hmm.
And most of us are familiar with masterminds, where we bring a group of people together to help us and help one another solve problems. That is not a wisdom circle. That's about what should we do. Wisdom circles are about who are we? Who am I? What is the wisdom I have, and how do I raise that wisdom? Just as a quick example, tomorrow I am conducting a wisdom circle on energy
Hmm.
and on helping people become more in tune with their energy, because energy is the fuel for the work that we do, not time. So wisdom circles will be a good approach to helping understand, why am I here?
Hmm.
What is not only feeding my family, feeding my bank account, but feeding my soul, feeding my sense of doing something that I'm passionate about. I know it sounds a bit weird, but if we have 1,000 people and we hear a collective voice of many of those people saying, this is why we're here, then let's look and see, is this what we are doing as an organization?
Hmm.
And if not, either we have hired the wrong people and we need to get rid of them because they are just collecting a paycheck and doing the minimum acceptable, or we need to rethink and reconfirm that this is truly our purpose and begin to make changes to more fully align with.
And I think what you just mentioned is all and or it's actually going around right people. Do you think that with both the transitions, the changes that are now happening, people are still the main part of this change, or we already have some technologies that can replace those decisions that are done by human beings with more, I don't know, more accurate ones. So do you think that people are still in the center of all these changes, or we already are in the stage where technology is replacing them?
I think where technology is replacing them, it's a very scary thing. And here's why. Let's say you and I are facing exactly the same challenge,
Hmm.
and we talk about it together, and we write the best prompts we can think of to ask the best available artificial intelligence to advise us,
Hmm.
to tell us what decision we should make. You and I are going to get the same answer. And guess what? As much as we think our challenge is the same, it's not, because we are different people in different environments.
Hmm.
And even if we feed our environments into those prompts and our answers are retuned to our environments, they're still not right for us, because what parts of this do I need to pay attention to now?
Hmm.
What parts of this are great advice, but ethically don't feel right for me? What parts of this are just baloney? Human wisdom, human discernment, human judgment has to remain at the forefront,
Hmm.
or we are all doomed.
Okay, this was very, very precise explanation of it. And so, even though we are not going, let's say we are not going to be replaced, we will still have that control. Do you think there are any emerging technologies or trends that will particularly help the companies with the use of AI, with digital transformation, or to find just the right answers to how they can possibly change or improve their processes?
In all candor, I'm not seeing any of those trends yet.
Hmm.
And I am hopeful because, in fact, and research has shown this, I think it's between 2.5 and 20% um, of any level
Hmm.
going in one direction is enough to tip us all collectively. But we need those wayfinders. We need those leaders who are willing to say, this is not, AI is not just a new technology that we plug into our old organizations. AI is a catalyst for thinking about how our organizations can become more humane, more
Hmm.
human places to work, fueled by incredible technology.
Yeah, agree. And as we are coming to the end, I think what I would like to ask you is if you have any suggestion or offer to companies to consider for themselves when we are speaking about their improvements in the processes and considering using the technologies that will support those changes. Anything you will suggest to take into account?
A couple of things, and these will sound self-serving, and the reality is I am a voice for a better future.
Hmm.
Again, my book, Leading into the Age of Wisdom, Reimagining the Future of Work, every chapter ends with questions for reflection. And I would invite leaders to not only read the book and reflect on those questions, but bring that conversation around those questions to people throughout their organizations. I would also invite them to reach out to me and to others who are speaking in a different language, if you will, about AI not as this replacement for people, but AI as a catalyst for a whole new way of thinking about work.
Hmm.
And I'm happy to talk with any leader at any time about how they might choose to move forward.
Perfect. I think this is a very good point actually regarding the AI and the fear that is all around. And as I'm always saying, AI is not something that we need to be afraid of. It's something we need to learn to work with and use it basically for the productivity of our day. Why not? And for the productivity of our work quality. So definitely agree that it's just something that we need to accept and kind of get used to using it on daily basis so we know all about it and be well aware of it, right? Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for being my guest today. Any last words before we will wrap up this episode?
I don't think so, Mariam. You have guided me through a very rich conversation, and I very much appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much again for the participation, and see you.
Thank you.